Welcome once again. It is time for another edition of the How I Would Book It series WCW 1998. This is the first Nitro of 1998 following the stupendous and tremendous Starcade from that ended 1997. We start the show tonight with a highlight package of the events from last night at Starcade, culminating in the year-long feud coming to a close between Sting and Hulk Hogan, and seeing not only Kevin Nash show his true colors and weeks of tension reach a boiling point in the NWO, but also Sting win the WCW World Heavyweight title and bring the WCW title back home. There was a stupid game messed up, and there was a segment before this, but I don't remember what it was. That doesn't matter. Before this segment, we go back outside, and we see the NWO arriving. It's Eric Bischoff, Randy Savage, Elizabeth, Buff Bagwell, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, all arriving but in separate limos, which leads the announcers, Tony, Mike, and Bobby, to believe that the tension goes deeper than the NWO members are leading on, and there is somebody missing from the limos, and that leads the announcers to question, where's Hulk Hogan? Hulk Hogan is missing. Hulk Hogan isn't here. And now we move to the first match of the night. That is Diamond Dallas Page, the new United States champion, against Japanese import Kensuke Sasaki in a solid opener. And then we move to the next match. Rey Mysterio Jr. and Ultimo Dragon defeat Eddie Guerrero and Chavo Guerrero in a tag team match. And apparently, Ultimo Dragon and Rey have great chemistry when teaming together, which helped the match. The reason for this match is one of those two, Rey or Ultimo, will be Eddie's next feud for the Cruiserweight title. I haven't decided yet, but one of them will be. Now we move to the next match. I just realized I did 3 matches in a row. My fault. At least I think I did. I don't know. Either way, Davey Boy Smith versus Mortis. This match comes off of Mortis and Wrath interfering in Davey Boy Smith and the Bulldogs match last night at Starcade, which helped the match, which caused the draw in the match, because at the same time Mortis and Wrath interfered, Jim Neidhart interfered, who is, like I said in the last video, Davey Boy's manager, and that's where this match comes from, because Davey Boy wanted revenge on Mortis for costing him the match last night. Now we move to the next segment. It's the announcers, Tony, Mike, and Bobby, talking about the altercation we saw last night between Bret Hart and Randy Savage in the ring, and they talk about who do they think is right. Do they think that Bret Hart is still the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be, even though Hitman has never competed in a match in the WCW? Or do they think that Bret Hart has to prove himself, and Randy Savage is a great person to prove himself against? Well, as you can tell, as you'd probably expect, all of them are split, and they're gonna wait and see what happens. They're not gonna have to wait long, because here comes the Macho Man, and he's taunting, and he has something to say about Bret Hart, And like I said in the previous video, because of the fact that it's Macho Man Randy Savage, and I know I can trust him on the mic, and I know I don't have to look over my shoulder and see what he's saying, and I just have to give him a little direction, that's what I would do. I would tell him, put over your accomplishments, and put over the fact that Bret Hart thinks that that it's going to be just as easy here as it was in WWE or in that company up north. But he's wrong, because up north doesn't have the Macho Man. And Bret Hart, and I will have him finish with this, that Bret Hart is going to learn the WCW is where the big boys play, and you can't just come in and say things, because if you do, everyone will be knocking down your door. He's gonna be a total I will teach Bret Hart a lesson that he won't forget. Ooh, yeah. And that's actually why I don't try and, that's why I keep saying that I don't want to book the Macho Man, because Macho Man is his own gimmick, his own character, and very few people can cut a good Macho Man promo how Macho Man would actually say it. Move on to the next match, Ray Traylor versus Hugh Morris. Yes, I'm well aware that most people would probably think Ray Traylor would be going against the Flock members who interfered in his match at Starrcade. You're right. He will be, but not tonight. I'm saving that for Saturday night, coming up, you guessed it, this Saturday night on PBS. And unlike WWE, just a little sidebar, unlike WWE's, how I would book it, WCW, this one, both shows will be featured in the same video. Not different videos like they were in WWE, because it's going to be short enough to where they can be featured in the same video. This segment is where we pop backstage, because, we pop backstage and we see Eric Bischoff and Scott Hall talking from afar, and then and the camera follows behind them. Both guys are pissed off, are visibly pissed off, and then they start walking away. The camera follows them, and they both enter the individual locker room with the door closing behind them and the camera on the outside, wondering what exactly was Eric Bischoff and Scott Hall talking about, and where's Kevin Nash? After the tension that has been developing between Scott, Kevin, Eric, and Scott and Kevin, Eric and Hogan, and Randy Savage, it's hard to believe that Scott would be crossing enemy lines. What's going on? We're gonna have to wait and find out. Now we move to the next match, as the Giant has somewhat of an open challenge against John, and John Nord accepts it. Basically, it would be John Nord getting the jobber entrance, or the enhancement entrance, and the Giant coming out and dominating him, after the Giant was not featured on Starrcade because he didn't have a match for the big event, and because it's the big event, I'm not going to just put a random match on the show. It was all the matches that were built up either for 6 months, 5 months, a year, a couple weeks going into the show. That's why the Giant wasn't there, because he didn't have a feud. But John Nord, but he does have a match tonight, and will continue to have matches in the future. Obviously, because he's a very prominent guy, and will be a very prominent guy with me. Now we move to back to the announce position, where the announcers discuss Ric Flair's injuries, as if you remember, Ric Flair got attacked last night on Starrcade by a mystery attacker. He was found bloody, battered, and possibly concussed. And the update is that the announcers are being told Ric Flair did suffer a concussion and a couple other minor bumps and bruises, and Flair will be back once he is cleared to return by WCW doctors. And Bobby throws in his 2 cents of whoever attacked Ric Flair made the biggest mistake, because I know Ric Flair, and Ric Flair will come back like a house of fire, seeking revenge on whoever did this to him. Now we move to the next segment, which is the first title defense for the new WCW television champion Chris Benoit. After beating Perry Saturn last night at Starrcade, he defends the title against the winner of the battle royal of the 15-man battle royal from the pre-show to determine the number 1 contender, which Bryan Adams won, and Bryan Adams got the title shot. But the key thing is, look at how Benoit won. Benoit won by countout. Why? Because you hear him in the match. Bryan Adams walks away. He says, "I got better things to do." Yes, I'm well aware that might, in a way, bury the television title, but the title will come back, I swear. The title will come back from this, as Benoit is going to be suckered into Benoit is going to step up in a big feud in the near future. Now we move to the next segment, and it's the Hot Rod. Roddy Piper, much like Randy Savage, because I know I can trust Piper to put on a good segment, I wouldn't script him. I would let him go out there, say whatever he wants. I would give him the direction of how I want it to go down. And what I would say is, I would tell Piper to go like this. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Roddy Piper. And I am sick and tired of sitting on the shelf watching and watching and watching and watching and watching. I'm sick and tired of it. I am making my own way, and I'm gonna start tonight by issuing an open challenge to anybody in the back. Come on out here and face the Hot Rod. That was not a Hot Rod impression. That's just how I think Roddy Piper talks. In layman's terms, I guess you could say. Or in the broadest sense, but let's go see who Roddy was facing. Okay. Ignore that. Roddy Piper up against Conan. Piper walks out with the win after 8 minutes of action in a decent match. Unfortunately, the Clash of Styles did not put forth the best match and screwed things up after a killer segment from the Hot Rod. Now we move backstage with the Steiner brothers and Ted DiBiase talking about the fact that the Steiner brothers actually lost the tag team titles last night to the Faces of Fear, and they are talking about their strategy of when they're going to cash in their rematch clause against the Faces of Fear, and that they firmly believe that when they come back, when they step in the ring again against the Faces of Fear, it's going to be a different situation. It's going to be a different ending, and the Faces of Fear will be the ones tapping out. Moving to the next segment, you have I picked the wrong guy. Damn it. That's okay. It doesn't reflect the show. We move back to the broadcast position where the announcers discuss Sting, Kevin Nash, and Hollywood Hogan. I know it says Hammer. I clicked the wrong guy. That's the problem with playing with a game. You sometimes make mistakes. So just ignore Van Hammer. Just ignore that Hammer's there. Sting and Kevin. Fact is, Sting and Kevin are competing tonight because Sting didn't realize Kevin got involved, because when Kevin came down to ringside, Sting was down. So Sting didn't see Kevin get involved, but once he saw Kevin get involved, he didn't like that, and he challenged Kevin to a match tonight for revenge, basically. To show that he didn't need Kevin's help to beat Hulk Hogan. And that is where we come in with our main event, Kevin Nash versus Sting. Which ends in a draw because Buff Bagwell, Scott Norton, and Kurt Hennig, and also Lex Luger, who comes out to help Sting, all come out and help and try and help. All come out, and one could assume they come out by orders of Eric Bischoff, because it's NWO attacking NWO. Think about it. And though the show ends here, I would have put in, if this was real, I would put it where Tony and Bobby are talking with. Tony, Bobby, and Mike are saying. You have Tony saying that how could the NWO? What's going on? Why is the NWO attacking one of their members? Where's Eric Bischoff? Where's Hulk Hogan? Why are these guys attacking Kevin Nash? Are they acting on their own? Were they sent out here by Eric Bischoff? What's going on? And then you would hear Tony scream, "Fans, we're out of time. Find out next week on Nitro what's going on with the NWO." And that's where the show would end. Unfortunately, my game is experiencing some technical difficulties. It happens. Unfortunately, it happened when I was shooting. What are you going to do? Ignore this. I'll just end it here. Put your comments down in the comment section below. What did you think of the show? What would you like to see me do in this? If you would like to see me do anything special in this season, or in this installment of the How I Would Book It, please drop a comment down in the comment section below, and I hope you enjoyed. See you next time.